Hello, everybody. I believe that I am live now. So this is a session on finding your dream university in the US. So my name is Minh Tran, and I am Executive Director of Academic Affairs for EF Education First. Myself, I started as a teacher. I am in Los Angeles, and I am from Los Angeles. So I attended school in the US. I also attended Yale University in the US for my bachelor in psychology. And then I actually did my doctorate degree in English language education in Hong Kong at the University of Hong Kong. But my session today is really based on my experience in the US, navigating the application process for the US universities. If you have any questions during my session, do not hesitate to type them in the comments below. And at the end of my presentation, I will answer all the questions that you have about finding and applying to your dream university in the US. So let's get started. First of all, you have to decide for yourself, what degree do you want for your study in the US? Because there are different types of degrees, as many of you know. Now, you know maybe the bachelor degree, which is often the first degree that you get after high school. You know the master's, and which is a postgraduate degree, and you know the PhD. Or you could also do an MBA for business schools, or you could do law school, you could do medical school. So there are different kinds of postgraduate degrees that you can do. But one thing that many of you might not know about is the associate degree. So in the US, we have community colleges that offers the associate degree, which is often 2 years. And the community colleges and the associate degrees are much cheaper than the bachelor degrees. And you can first get your associate degree for after you do 2 years. Then you can apply to a 4-year university to finish your bachelor degree. And after you do 2 years of the associate degree, then you do 2 more years only to get your bachelor degree. Yeah, so you kind of go from the community college to a 4-year university that way. And many of our students like to do that because it is cheaper. And the associate degree, they have many different programs and majors as well. So you can really find something that is right for you. And here are some more differences between the community colleges and the universities. And the size is often smaller in terms of the community colleges. And as I said, it's less expensive, but you might have fewer options in terms of majors that you can study. Yeah, but keep in mind that you only need 2 years to do the associate degree, and then you can go to a 4-year college in the US. And the second question that you will have to ask yourself is, what do I want to study? So once you decide the degree that you want, then you might want to think about what is it that you want to study. And in this slide, I am showing you the most popular majors for international students. This data is a little bit old, so it's from 2014 to 2016, but I think it's still indicative of what is it that most international students want to study. Number 1 is engineering. Number 2 is business. Of course, many students, especially from Asia, like studying business. And then you have math and computer science, and then less so in the social sciences and the physical and life sciences. Yeah, and now today, I think if we look at the 2020 numbers, many students will also study technology. So I think engineering is becoming less popular today, and technology might be more popular in terms of computer science. And now we are looking at students specifically in Asia. What is it that they want to study, right? I don't have the data for Taiwan, but this is data from 2019. And if we use the other Asian countries as an indicator for Taiwan, then you can see, you know, as I was saying, the STEM topics are very, very popular with our students, and then business. So it's usually science, technology, engineering, and math, and then business. So these are the most popular fields of study for students. The reason that I think these are more popular than, let's say, the humanities or the fine arts is because, you know, for our international students, they are making a very big investment. Their families are making a very big investment in their study abroad. So they have to major or study something that's very practical, that they can then get a job, a good job, after they finish their study. So I think that's why you see STEM and business being so popular for international students. Now, the third question that you have to ask yourself is, where in the US do you want to study, right? Because we have 50 states in the US. We have thousands of universities in the US, right? And so you have to really decide where in the US do you want to study. The US is very, very big. And you can see here that a few states are very popular with international students. Yeah, where I am from, Los Angeles, California is very popular. It's the #1 destination for international students. Asian students love California because the weather is warmer, and there's good Asian food in California. And then you have New York. You know, New York is often a dream for many students. And you know, New York has 4 seasons, so it's not always warm like California, but it also has a good Asian community there. So, you know, you can find Asian food there as well. And then you have Texas. Texas has very good public universities. California and New York also have very good public universities, which tend to be cheaper. But for international students, it might not be that much cheaper because you are paying the full sticker price. Massachusetts, that is where some of the best universities are. You have Harvard in Massachusetts, and then you also have Boston College, Boston University, Tufts, Amherst, a lot of good universities in Massachusetts. So these are the top 4. Illinois in the middle there, that is #5. Illinois, most famous is University of Chicago, of course. So you have to decide where you want to study. But even once you have decided on the state that you want to study in, then you have to decide, do you want to be in a big city? Or do you want to be close to a big city in a suburb? Or do you want to go to a small city college? So that's something that you have to think about. You know, what kind of life experience do you want to have? So the big cities are, you know, universities like NYU, UCLA, and Harvard in Boston. So these are big cities that you're in, yeah? And then other universities are close to big cities. So 1 to 2 hours away from a big city. Like Yale, where I studied, is in New Haven, Connecticut, and it is close to New York. It's just 90 minutes from New York, yeah? And Dartmouth is also very close to big cities. Stanford is close to San Francisco. So these are not in a big city, but close to a big city. And then the small college cities, like Amherst, Cornell, Swarthmore, you're really in a city that's just a college city. So your whole experience in that city is mainly your college. So that's something that you have to think about. Okay, next. I see some questions. How much does it cost to get an associate degree? And is it easier to get a job in the US if I only receive an associate degree? So of course, it's not easier if you only have an associate degree. You want to have a bachelor degree, right? The associate degree is only a stepping stone to getting a bachelor degree. And I will talk to you a little bit about the costs later, but definitely the associate is cheaper than the bachelor. But after you finish your 2 years of the associate degree, then you do 2 more years to get your bachelor, right? I think that for many of our students, the end goal is always the bachelor degree. Okay, now these I just want to show you are the top universities in terms of number of international students they have. So these are the universities that have the most international students. So you have NYU as number 1. NYU, New York University, is often, imagined as the dream university for many, many students, yeah? And then you have in Los Angeles, University of Southern California, USC. And then you have Northeastern in Boston, Columbia in New York, and University of Illinois in Champaign, Illinois. And then the next question is, okay, so once you have decided where you want to study, now you have to think about what college can you get into, yeah? So, it's great to dream big, but you also have to be realistic, right? So what universities can you get into given your scores? So this on the third column are the average SAT scores. And then on the fourth column is average ACT scores. So if you look at the average SAT scores for the top universities, that's very, very high, right? That's nearly perfect. So the perfect SAT score is 1600, 1600. And these scores are nearly perfect. So you have to look at your SAT scores or your ACT scores, and then look at the universities that you want to attend and see what their average scores are, right? Because that's where you will have a sense of how likely are you to get into these universities. Of course, the SAT or the ACT score is not the only factor, but at least it will give you some indication of how likely it is that you will get into that college. Now, question number 5 is, what is the size of the college that you prefer? Do you prefer a small college like Amherst, which has less than 2,000 students? Or do you prefer a medium-sized college like Yale and Harvard? But even there, Harvard is double the size of Yale, right? Or do you prefer a big college, that's like NYU? A big college, you will have a lot of fun. There are more facilities, more activities on campus, but you are one of many. If you're in a small college, on the right-hand side, that photo you see, you're in a much more intimate environment, and the professors will know you better, right? Can give you more support. I always suggest students go to a small to medium-sized college if they can. But if you would like to go to a big college, of course, you have those options as well. Okay, now the next question is, how much can your family afford? So earlier, somebody asked, how much does an associate degree cost? You can see there. These are just averages, yeah? Average tuition, average room and board. So 12,000 for the associate degree versus 20 to 40,000 for the 4-year college. But if you go to some of the private colleges, it can be $50,000 or $60,000 today. And when you apply to universities in the US, the application that you use is called the common application. So hundreds and hundreds of universities allow you to use the common application. So you just have to fill out one application and you can send it to many universities. So this is a very easy way for you to apply to many universities so that you don't have to fill out so many applications. And the link that you can use is commonapp.org. Yeah, so that is the Common App application. So now I'm very happy to take your questions. So that was a very short, introduction to the application process in the US and a quick introduction to some of the things that you should think about when you're thinking about which university to go to in the US. So I'll answer more questions. Somebody said, I do not want to spend 2 years on graduate study. Does the US offer a 1-year graduate degree program? Yes, the US does offer 1-year graduate degree programs. They tend to be very intense. And often it means 12 months or a little bit longer. It includes the summer, so it's not just 9 months, but 12 months, maybe 16 months as well. So it could be longer. And you just have to do some research to find these master's programs that are 1 year. For example, at EF, we have a Holt International Business School that offers a 1-year MBA. It's a very intensive 1 year, but it's a 1-year MBA. So there are 1-year programs out there that you can find. Okay, so just my suggestion is that what you really have to do is you have to do a lot of research. So it is not easy to find all the information that you need in one place, of course. So what you have to do is that you have to look at different resources to gather all the information that you need. And you really need to spend the time to do this research because this is a big decision that you are making, right? Which university do you go to? So it is important that you do not take this decision lightly, that you really consider where you are going and make sure that you make the right decision for yourself. Okay, I'm just now looking at other questions maybe in the comments. Okay, I have a question from Mongolia. Wow. So we have a student from Mongolia studying in Taiwan. I want to apply for the work and travel program. Can you help me, please? I don't speak Chinese. Of course, we can help you. So our staff can speak English. So I will ask one of our staff members in Taiwan to reach out to you. Okay. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions? Please feel free to type them in the comments and I'd be happy to answer your questions. So maybe if there are no other questions right now, maybe I can talk a little bit. Let me just go back to the first slide. Maybe I can talk a little bit about sort of what is the experience like when you study in the US, right? So I think one thing that you need to know is studying in the US is not just about study. So if you study in the US, you also want to do other activities outside of the classroom that will prepare you for the job that you might have after you finish your university, and so that you can be really prepared for the job market. So you definitely want to do internships. You definitely want to do join other business or industry organizations. So many universities will have clubs that are specific to different industries. So for example, if you really like investing, then you can actually join an investment group at your university, and you guys can practice making investments, right? Or if you want to do business, in the US, we have many business fraternities, and you can join these business fraternities to learn about, you know, different job opportunities, to learn about how do you network. So all these activities are very good for you to do outside of the classroom, and really try to spend the time to do that. And internships are very, very important, because this is where you will learn real work skills. In your classroom, you will learn very important knowledge, but you won't really have the hard skills that you might need for the job that you want to have in the future. So that is where, you know, if you are doing an internship, you can really learn those skills. And also, this is where you can impress your employers and potential employers in the future. So from your internship, it's possible for you to get a full-time job after you graduate, right? And if you want to stay in the US to work, it is a lot easier for you to get a full-time job in the US, where your employer will sponsor your work visa if you have first done an internship with them. Because, you know, they would be taking a huge risk they would be taking a very, very big risk to hire someone who is not from the US and to sponsor your work visa. So that's why, you know, if you do an internship first, they really get to know you. They really get to know how you work, and they really get to know your potential. Then they would feel a lot more comfortable about sponsoring your work visa. So that's why we always recommend that, you know, you do these internships. Yeah, very, very important. Okay. Any other questions that you have? Let me just check in the group. But so far, great questions from some of you. All right. I think that there were other cost questions about the cost, again, of the associate degrees. It's about half the price. So as I was showing you earlier, in terms of the cost of the associate degree, please keep in mind these are average costs. So it could be more, it could be less, depending on the university that you go to. So, you know, it's about 12,000 to 15,000 for the associate degree, 1 year per year. And then for the bachelor degree, it could be anywhere from 20 to 50,000 US dollars. It's for the international students, it is closer to $50,000 per year. Maybe you can get something like 40,000, but the 20,000 is for in-state, meaning people who are from that state. So if you're going to UCLA, if you're from California, then you would only pay 21,000. But if you are not from California, let's say if you're from Florida, or if you're from Taiwan, then you have to pay closer to $40,000. So depending on where you are, then, you know, it is very important that you pay attention to, you have to pay different fees. So it's very important you pay attention to what the fees mean, because sometimes the fees are for students who are from that state, and sometimes the fees are for students outside of that state. So just be careful that you look at exactly what is the cost if you are coming from outside of the US, okay? So I think that's all. I'm trying to see if there are any other questions, but it doesn't seem to be any other questions. So I just want to end by saying good luck to all of you. You know, when you are applying, you know, remember to use the common application, and be very, very careful when you fill out the application. make sure that you have everything that you need. Maybe I will talk, okay, since there are no other questions and I don't want to end yet, maybe I talk a little bit about the application process, okay? So you can see here what materials you need for the common application and for other applications as well. Then I have a question from Brian. Students from Florida can receive financial aid. Brian, financial aid, there's a lot of financial aid out there, no matter where you're from. Whether you're from Florida, you're from other states in the US, or you're from Taiwan, you're from other countries, there are many different kinds of financial aid. Sometimes they are grants, which means that you don't have to pay it back. Sometimes they are loans, so they are low interest loans that your university or the government is giving you. Then that's possible as well. So depending on your financial situation, the university can offer you different kinds of financial aid. Okay, thank you, Brian, for your question. Now coming back to the common application, what documents you need to prepare. So as you can see here with the high school transcript, this is very important that you know it needs to be in English. So if you go to a high school in Taiwan and your transcript is in Chinese, then you need to get an official translation of your transcript so that the American universities can understand the transcript, okay? So you need to go and find an agency that can do an official translation for you. And then you list all the activities, all the work and family responsibilities that you've done during your high school years. So for example, when I was in high school, I was the editor-in-chief of my school newspaper. I was captain of our debate team. And I was also playing badminton in my school team. So I listed, and I did a lot of volunteering. I was in student government. So I did different activities, and that's where you list all your activities. And it's important you also talk about your accomplishments. So not only did you do debate, but what tournaments did you win, right? What place did you come in? Or if you did volunteering, it's important you say, how many hours have you volunteered? What kind of volunteering did you do? And very importantly also is if you have any leadership experience. American universities really like leadership experience. So if you were the captain, if you were the president of your club, please make sure you write that because again, American universities really value activities and leadership experience. And then you also have to provide all your test scores. And then you have to look carefully at the different colleges because they will require different exams. So for example, some only take the SAT, some only take the ACT, some will take the SAT or the ACT. Some will require that you take the SAT-2 subject exams. Some will not require the SAT-2 exam. So you have to make sure you know what the college that you're applying to requires. Then you have to give them your parents' information, especially their financial background. This will help the universities to decide what kind of financial aid that they give you. And then lastly, academic honors and achievements. If you have any kind of academic award, then you definitely want to mention that. So for example, if you join any academic competitions, let's say a speech competition, an essay competition, then if you win, that's where you would write it. Or if your school gives you an award for something that you did in a subject, let's say you were really good at math and your school gave you a math award, this is where you would also write that. So it's good that you join different kinds of academic competitions so that you can have some awards and achievements that you can talk about. Okay, so that's a little bit about the application process and what you need to think about when deciding where to go. I don't see any other questions in the comments. So then I will say here, thank you very much for joining this Facebook Live. We will do more live for you guys. So if you have any other topics that you want to hear about, put them in the comments below so that we can see, what other topics you guys are interested in, and we will do more Facebook Live to talk about the topics that you guys care about. So once again, thank you very much and good luck to you in your academic journey. Bye, guys. Thank you very much.